Diktuk u'Masoret HaMikra Parashat Ekev 1. The reference here is Perek Zayin, Pasuk Yudaled, the beginning of the Pasuk. Actually, the second half of the Pasuk. Lo yevecha akar v'akara v'metecha. The word akar and then akara also, it means a man and a woman who are barren. The Rashbam comments on this. He says, Kulo kamatz. The nikud, the vowels underneath, ein kof resh, they're both kamatz. Kemo min hacham, yomar isha hachama. From hacham, also kamatz under the het, kamatz under the kaf. The female, the feminine of hacham is hachama, and the nikud is hataf patah, kamatz, kamatz. Hataf patah under the het, kamatz, kamatz under the kaf of the man. And then he knows another example, means shafal, shefala. Shafal, they're both kamatz, but shefala enena, which is in Vayikra, Yud Gimel Pasuk Kaf Aleph, shefala enena, we're talking about the tzarat. It's a sheva under the shin, a kamatz and a kamatz. Kemochen, he said, mean akar akara. From akar, the masculine, which is kamatz and a kamatz under the ayin and the kof. Akara, you have a patah under hataf patah under the ayin, and a kamatz under the kof and the resh. What is he trying to say? He's saying that first of all, this akar is a noun. It is not a verb. You might even say shem apart. It's a noun derived from a verb, and the verb itself, when you have akar, and I'll talk about it in a second, it means to uproot. But akar here means something barren. The man's barren, and the woman would be called akara. So when you have the female, the feminine derived from the masculine, normally there's a sheva, like shefala, means shafal, shefala. You have a sheva under the shin. But when you have a het, or you have an ayin, then they put a hataf patah. The Torah puts a hataf patah under those two letters instead of a sheva. It's like a sheva. The hataf is is like a sheva, but it's a hataf patah under the ayin and the het, because they normally don't receive a sheva, so they become a hataf patah. And he ends up v'chem etzatiu bechol sifrei Sfarad. The Rashbam says, I found it in all the books that were written, all the Sifrei Torah, that with the nikud, in other words, like the tikkunim from the Sifrei Sfarad from Spain. He says, I found all of them just like that. The nikud for hakar and akara was a kamatz for hakar, and a hataf patah followed by a kamatz for the other two for hachama. Now, let's go back to the question about a verb. How do you know it's a noun and not a verb? If it's a verb, akar, it would be kamatz under the ayin, patah under the kof, like the word ganav. Ganav as a verb, a person who stole, who ganav mimeni, he stole from me. It's a kamatz under the gimal, a patah under the nun. As a noun, a ganav, a thief, would have a kamatz and a kamatz, exactly like here. Hacham, kamatz. And the same thing, shamar. You have a kamatz as a verb. Shamar, you have a kamatz under the shin, patah under the nun. So whenever it's a verb, you don't have two kamatz. You have a kamatz followed by a patah. Rashi has said this also in other places. So the Rashban concludes that really this is a noun derived from a verb, and when you do the feminine from the masculine, in the case of a het, the ayin, instead of a sheva, under the first letter, the het or the ayin, you use a hataf patah. That's what the Torah does.